If you've landed on this video, then you're seeking a gentle sleep training strategy that is going to help your child learn how to fall asleep independently with minimal crying. Now, of course, you've landed on the right video, and we are going to learn about the shush pat method. Now, it's important to know that if you are opting for a gentle sleep training method, that your child may take up to 2 weeks to learn how to sleep independently. It could even take longer than that if you need to go very slowly and very gently, which is completely fine. I just wanted to throw the disclaimer out there so that you know that it's going to take a bit of time, and it's not going to be overnight success. It's not going to be a week-long success. It's going to take a couple weeks, and as long as you are okay with that process and you can be 100% committed to this sleep training method and staying consistent with it, then it will definitely pay off in the end. Now, if you are a little bit overwhelmed by the fact that this might take a few weeks, you can check out this video right here for a faster sleep training method that will involve more tiers, but it will have faster results. Keep in mind, none of my sleep training methods here at Slumber and Bloom are full-on extinction, cry it out methods where your child is left to cry themselves to sleep. So let's jump into the shush pat method, and I will give you a step-by-step plan on how to execute this method and teach your baby how to fall asleep independently. The number one most important thing is having a conducive sleep environment. You need to make sure that you have blackout shades in your baby's room, white noise, nothing in the crib except their fitted sheet. You want to make sure that you have a firm, flat mattress, and there are no blankets, no pillows, no bumper pads, nothing in the crib except your baby. That means no blankets, so make sure that your baby is wearing a sleep sack. There are several different kinds of sleep sacks, and maybe eventually I'll do a video all about sleep sacks. Leave me a comment if that's something that you would like to see, but really any sleep sack will do as long as you have more than one of the same sleep sack. Hello, middle of the night blowouts, they will happen. Be prepared, have more than one, and just make sure you use it for all sleep. Yes, naps. Yes, bedtime. You also want to make sure that the baby's bedroom is between 68 and 72 degrees. Step 2 is to have a consistent bedtime routine. I don't care what your bedtime routine is, as long as you're not feeding your baby to sleep and as long as you do the same thing every single night. You need to make sure your bedtime routine is about 20 minutes long and you're doing every single thing in the same order every night. I don't include bath time as part of the bedtime routine because not all families do bath every night. So if you are doing it every single night, then yes, bath is part of your bedtime routine. But if not, it really doesn't matter what time of day you are giving your baby a bath. In my book, your bedtime routine begins in the bedroom, and that is where everything should take place during your baby's bedtime routine. So maybe that includes having their feeding, reading a book, doing a lotion massage, whatever you're going to do, but make sure that the feeding is not last. You're not feeding them to sleep, and they are awake but drowsy when you are putting them in the crib. Now, I really am hesitant to say the term drowsy but awake because the word drowsy can be interpreted in different ways. I actually did a whole video on that. You can watch that here after you watch this video, but instead of saying drowsy but awake, I'm going to say calm and awake. So your baby is calm, they are happy, and they're tired. They're ready to sleep, but their eyes are open. They are not sleeping. Their eyes are not closed yet. This is when you're going to put your baby in the crib. And that's step 3. Put your baby in the crib. It's that simple, so let's jump on to step 4. Once you put your baby in the crib, I want you to just take a step back. You don't need to hover over your child. Let them be, see what they do independently. If they start crying, you can immediately step back in and rub their belly because you're laying them down on their back. Rub their belly in circular motions and say, shh, shh, shh. And you do want the shushing to be loud, but you don't want it directly in their ear. And the reason being is because you don't want to damage their hearing. So when you're rubbing, you're shushing, and you can rub or you can pat. So hence shush pat. As you're patting and you're shushing, it's very difficult for me to demonstrate and speak at the same time, considering I need to shush. As I'm patting, just know that I am also shh, shh. I'm not gonna keep shushing because you are not a baby and you get the picture. But as you are patting, you want to make it a rhythmic pat. As your baby calms down, you want to slow down. You're slowing your patting, you're slowing your shushing. If your baby stops completely and they are just quiet, you also stop completely. Take a step back. Just one step, that's all. You don't have to leave the room, just take a step back. Once they start crying again, you're going to do the same thing. Step in, do the shush and the pat. Slow it down once they stop crying, and stop shushing and patting when they stop crying. You are going to do this on repeat. Now, the first couple nights, you can use the shushing and patting to get them all the way to sleep. After the first 3 nights, you want to give them more time in between your step back and your step in to intervene and help them. Now, after the first couple days, maybe 5 days, maybe 7 days, you want to give them more time in between intervening, and you also want to shorten the duration of your shushing and patting. It's also important during this process that you are very patient. It is going to take a long time to see progress with this, like I had previously mentioned. But as long as you are making progress towards the end goal, which would be to lay your baby down awake and to be able to leave the room without them needing you to intervene and give them any shushing or patting or any kind of comfort, then you know that you are going to make progress. You may feel like a broken record for a little bit of time, but just remember that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and this method is very effective for babies who maybe have been co-sleeping, maybe they've been rocked to sleep, or maybe you just want to be near them and you want to sleep train gently. So this is a great method for all of those situations, and you will make progress as long as you are patient and consistent. If you have a spouse or a partner that can step in and help you, I want you to make sure that either you watch this video with them or you just tell them what the steps are and be on the same exact page, so that when you need a break, your partner can step in and do the same exact method that you are doing. The most important way to see success in any sleep training is to make sure that everyone involved is going to follow the directions and be consistent. Some of my clients will ask me if it's okay to have more than one parent involved in the sleep training process, and I encourage it. You don't want your child to get used to just one person putting them down for bedtime. You want them to be able to be put down by anybody. Sometimes I will hear, well, the baby does just fine for dad or grandma or whoever, or the babysitter, whoever, whatever, but for mom, it is so much more of a struggle. Well, everyone needs to be on the same page and putting the baby down 100% consistently so that the baby doesn't give pushback. Another tip that I have for you with the Shush Pat sleep training method is that you want to celebrate small successes. Maybe you're on night 5 and you're starting to get exhausted from shushing and patting for what feels like an eternity. But if you're able to step back and notice that your baby is self-soothing a little bit longer, then you should celebrate that. If you can have your baby self-soothe longer and longer every couple of nights, then you know that your baby is learning this big new skill. If you're unsure of how your baby learns how to self-soothe, or if they're even self-soothing, check out this video here and I will teach you all about different ways that you can detect self-soothing skills. One more important note that I wanted to mention is that if you have a baby who is around 10, 11, 12 months old and they are pulling themselves up to standing and grasping onto you for dear life, this might not be the sleep training method for you. I don't want to give you false hope that this is going to work for every single baby out there, because it doesn't. But for families whose babies are not quite mobile yet, this can be a really good solution for them. If you have an older baby, then you may need a one-on-one consultation. You can check out my sleep coaching packages in the description box down below or in the comment section of this video. I would love to help your family make you a customized sleep plan that helps for your baby at their stage, their milestones, and your parenting style. We can definitely sleep train older babies more gently. It's just not going to be totally hands-on like the Shush Pat sleep training method. Remember that you are the best parent for your baby and you're doing the best thing for your family. Your baby will thank you for teaching them independent sleep skills with smiles, coos, and giggles when they wake up in the morning, and you're spending great quality time with them during the day because they're not cranky, because they're well rested. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and keep blooming. Mwah.